The Rangers lose to the New Jersey Devils in overtime by a score of 4-3. Rangers deserve to lose this game. This was a very frustrating game if you're a Ranger fan. It was one in which they could have easily won. They were up 3-1 in the third. For me, there's parallels to the last Ranger Devil game. Obviously, nothing's going to be quite exact, but in reverse, where the Rangers were down 3-1 against the Devils, and Jack Hughes did not score on a penalty shot. Well, here the Rangers had a 3-1 lead on the power play. Now, the difference here is that was in the second period of that game in MSG. This is in the third. And the Rangers had a power play, unsuccessful, and the power play has really hurt them. Don't let the stats fool you. You know, two Filipino power play goals, empty net goals. That's just where stats, aren't exactly what they seem. But the Rangers don't score, and then Kako takes a penalty right after that, and the Devils do score. And look, Jack Hughes is very, very, very good. It's frustrating because forget about Hughes versus Kako, right? I mean, like I always say with that, I am almost 100% sure that if the Rangers had the number one pick, they're taking Jack Hughes. Like, there is no, obviously there was a lot of talk at that time, and, but Jack Hughes would have been the number one pick. That's just luck of the draw. Like, nothing that you can do about that. What's also luck of the draw, but sucks, is that Alexis Lafreniere was the pick the year after. And I understand that, it's a year later, right? So obviously Hughes is further along, but Jack Hughes is just it's leaps and bounds like the difference between Jack Hughes and Alexis Lafreniere. I'm sorry. And look, maybe if Jack Hughes was a Ranger, maybe developmental wise, like it wouldn't be quite what it is, but you could just, the talent just pops off the screen. It really does. And there's a lot more to discuss, not just this, but I mean, Lafreniere makes a pretty bad play at overtime that leads to the game-winning goal. But, look, Zibanejad totally fucks up a breakaway opportunity. I mean, good on him to get the breakaway, but he shoots it wide. There's a lot to discuss. It's not, it was pretty big for the standings, but you still have a half of a season to go. Rangers are now at the 41 game mark. And, it's just, they get a point. It could have been worse. And what sucks too is just Sturkin was really locked in. I felt like Igor, even though the shots were very misleading in the first period, Igor all along seemed very glued in. And, I guess maybe that tying goal, he might want that back a little bit, although the defense was very scrambly. Jacob Trouba being one of them who kind of like fell. And I don't know. I mean, Trouba, while he's gotten better lately, it's still a struggle with Trouba. And it's just things that Gallant does that's frustrating, where I thought today Kravtsov played pretty well, but late in the game, in a tie game, mind you, it's one thing if you're up by one. In a tie game, he's putting Goodrow out there instead of Kravtsov. Like, come on. When Goodrow literally handed Jack Hughes, perfect pass to Jack Hughes on that first goal. Perfect. Put it right on his tape and let him right in for that goal. So it's just, Gallant is going to defer to the veterans, and just some of his overtime management doesn't make a whole lot of sense. One little problem I'm glad that he had Heedle on, but faceoffs are so important in overtime. Just get your best faceoff guys on there, and Filipino is definitely not one of them. But that's not a huge deal. He also had Lafreniere on, which again, I don't mind. I guess if I'm nitpicking, why not Kako? I understand that Lafreniere and Heedle are both on the same line right now, but that shouldn't be the reason. Kako, who I didn't think had a great game, if I'm being honest, but like Kako's been better than Lafreniere. Why Lafreniere and not Kako on that 3-on-3? Again, there's bigger issues than that, but this was a tough game, and I think the Devils deserve to win it. I think Devils really they got better as the game went on, and what sucks here is the streak busting continues, but in the wrong way, where the Devils had an 8-game home losing streak snapped. The Rangers this season, and they've been better lately, right? Third periods have been better lately, but on the whole this year, you have a 2-goal lead going to the third, you can't lose it. I know you get a point out of it, but too many times this year where the Rangers have had multi-goal leads going to the third and they don't win. That's at least 3 times now. I think maybe even more. I think back to the Oiler game where they got no points, the Islander game where they got no points, and then this game where they got 1. And there might have been another one in the mix there where, but like that's already too much. Multi-goal leads. So if the Rangers had somehow got that, I was, thinking to myself, if the Rangers could have got that 3-goal lead, I think they would have been in the clear. I think they would have been in the clear at that point. It didn't happen, and the power play was unsuccessful. And then they take a penalty, and then the Rangers take a penalty. And from there, it's fucked. But that one stings. So now the Rangers sit 2 points behind the Devils, and the Devils have a game in hand, which that's not a huge deal. Again, you have a half a season to go. So that could easily change. But still, I just think, throw the standings aside for a second. It was a disappointing game, a winnable game, but one in which the Devils just, the speed is evident for the Devils. The Rangers are not a very fast team. That they need to improve upon that. And Sammy Blais, it's like, what a waste. What a waste. What does he bring to the table? I hope post trade deadline, Sammy Blais is not in the equation. Whether that be healthy scratch, whether that be, placed on waivers and, and sent down to Hartford or somehow claimed, which I don't know who would want to claim him. Guy is, again, I feel bad because the injury, but he's toast. Sammy Blais, especially against a speed team like the Devils, you don't want him in there. I'd rather Johnny Brodzinski in there, if I'm being honest. But anyway, let's jump into it. Rangers, the first period I thought was probably the Rangers' best period, even though the shot totals wouldn't tell you so. Rangers' first period was their best. I don't know how they were outshot 19-9. It was weird because, and the Devils had a very good period, but I thought the Rangers played well. And they score early, and it's former Devil, Jimmy Vesey, scoring his 7th goal of the season from Lafreniere and Trouba. So give credit to Lafreniere, makes a nice little pass to Vesey, but Vesey really was the one, made a nice pass around former Ranger and former teammate of his, Brendan Smith. So Vesey scores, and it's funny, he's had a knack for scoring against his former teams. I know when he was on the Sabres, he scored against the Rangers. Earlier in the year, Vesey scored against Toronto, so he likes to stick it to his old teams. So Vesey gives Rangers a 1-0 lead. And the Rangers got into some trouble at the end of that first period, where Braden Schneider interferes with Miles Wood. They were going at it, and actually in the second period, Wood interfered with Schneider, so those penalties kind of offset. But Schneider takes that penalty, and I thought that was kind of a questionable call, but then a clear-cut call. Adam Fox hooks Jack Hughes at 17-16, so a long 5-on-3 for the Devils, but the Rangers penalty kill does a nice job. That was a good, sort of uplifting moment for the Rangers, and they keep that 1-0 lead going into the second. Like I said, you have that Miles Wood interference penalty, and before that, Julien Gauthier scores his 6th of the season. Really nice pass by Adam Fox, and then Goodrow also gets an assist. Julien Gauthier, for me, he does enough in, let's see, I bet you he did not play much at all tonight. No, 8:26. He plays about 8 to 10 minutes a night, more 8. But he's able to make these contributions, whether that be drawing a penalty, getting a breakaway. Obviously we know defense isn't his game, but Gauthier, I believe he needs to stick in the lineup. He's not your traditional 4th-line guy, but he does a lot more than Sammy Blais. It's not even really close. So some depth goals by Vesey and Gauthier make it 2-0. And then you have a chance to make it 3-0 on the power play, but the Rangers are unsuccessful. Again, that first power play unit, it gets too much ice time, and it's just not producing enough. It just isn't. And I look, whatever. I won't call out specific players in that, but it's just, you can't have that. And soon thereafter, Barclay Goodrow, for some reason, passes it back to the Ranger zone, and Jack Hughes just takes it and goes right in between Schneider and Harper and scores. So that stat about Schneider having at least an even rating, I think, for 13 straight, that's over now. Schneider went -1, and Harper only played 10 minutes, and he might have been dealing with something injury-wise, or it honestly very well could have been they just didn't want to play him in a close game. But Hughes scores his 25th goal of the season, makes it 2-1, but a really big goal by the Rangers to get that 2-goal lead back. It's Chris Kreider, his 19th goal of the season from Keandre Miller and Zibanejad. So Keandre Miller continuing his point binge. It's been impressive. I like what I've seen from Keandre Miller. And like I said last episode, Chris Kreider, slowly but surely, 19 goals for Kreider. So look, he is producing. And after a slow start, I like what I've seen from him. And so the Rangers have a 3-1 lead going into the third. And, the Rangers, I thought they got off to a pretty good start in the third period. But here was the turning point. Like I said, you have Dougie Hamilton hooks Vinny Trocheck at 5:47, and the power play does not score. You get that goal there, it's lights out. It's over. But you don't score, and then immediately after that, Capo Caco, the number 2 pick, slashes Jack Hughes, the number 1 pick. Just Jack Hughes was, for me, the story of this game. He is incredibly good. And it sucks that he's going to be in this division. I mean, Jack Hughes is a star. and the Devils score on the power play. It is Jesper Bratt, his 15th of the season from Hughes and Hughes, and it's 3-2. And then 2 minutes later, the Devils tie it up. Hughes scores his 26th second of the game from Mercer and Graves. So that was a sort of a sloppy play, and it ends up where, Trouba's kind of on the ground, and Igor was a little out of position, and they tie it up 3-3. And then the Rangers actually took another penalty. Vinny Trocheck slashes Siegenthaler, but the Rangers kill it off. And then there were some chances, and Alexis Lafreniere had a chance, but and give him credit for that chance, but still, he shoots it right into Vanacek. Whereas Hughes is just, picking a corner, finding it, and again, it helps to have time and space. Lafreniere's not fast, so he doesn't really have that much room to do anything. So we go to overtime. And Mika Zibanejad, who had a chance shorthanded as well, actually, I should mention, Zibanejad had a similar opportunity where he uses his speed and he just shoots it wide. And that hurt. I mean, at least put it on net and keep possession or something. Maybe get the rebound or whatever. He shoots it wide, Devils get possession, but eventually Lafreniere collides with, it might have been Hischier, I'm not sure. But Hedl, who was it? Was it Lafreniere waiting for Hedl? And it was probably vice versa. It was probably Hedl. No, it might have been Lafreniere waiting for Hedl for the potential 2-on-1. Lafreniere turns it over. It's a 2-on-1 the other way, and Damon Severson scores. So where Hedl wins it at the Garden against the Devils, it's Severson here, his third of the year, unassisted, and that's a tough loss. That one hurts, and we'll see where it takes him. It might not mean anything in the grand scheme, but it poked a lot of holes in him. And for me, the power play, some of the kids, some of the top guys, Trouba, Goodrow, Panarin. Yeah, so this was, you don't want to overreact to it because Rangers have been playing well lately, and you do get a point, which is valuable, but it hurt to see the Devils get the 2. So, again, Rangers lose it 4-3 in overtime. They now head home to the Garden. They'll have 3 straight at MSG, and it'll be against Minnesota. So the Wild will come into town after the Rangers beat them earlier in the year. And then the Dallas Stars will come into town after the Rangers beat them earlier in the year. So those teams will be looking for some revenge as the Rangers had some road victories. And then, I guess similarly, then the Rangers will play home against Montreal, who they just won last game at Montreal. So they'll be playing against teams that they beat, but now at home. And it's a very heavy MSG schedule coming up. So the Rangers have been better at home lately. Hopefully they can continue, riding that home momentum, because they're going to need it. Again, in a very competitive Metropolitan Division, Rangers, hopefully they can stack some more wins. But a disappointing game today. Rangers blow a 3-1 lead in the third. They lose at the Prudential Center in overtime, 4-3.